Hey, it's a warning. I got these figures from Hobby Link Japan. Purchase links in the description. What's going on there, friends and neighbors? Today I'm going to be talking about the Bandai Movie Monster Series Final Wars Gigan and Final Wars Anguirus. Okay, that joke ran a little bit longer than it should have. Now I'm gonna need you lot's help in picking which one I talk about first. Through the power of technology and the internet and other stuff, I want you to tap your screens and select which one you want to see talked about first. And go. Oh, Anguirus? All right. So our boy Anguirus over here actually turned out to be a lot bigger than I thought he would. And apparently this version of the figure is very, very close to both the original and the Bandai America release, or the Bandai Creation release. The differences here are that his mouth isn't painted on the inside, the spikes on his arms, legs, and tail are also not painted. Now, I don't have a problem with that. No, not at all. But I just want to say, when the smaller version of you has everything painted that you don't have painted, come on, Bandai. But I digress. The figure might not be supremely painted, but the figure does look nice. There is a lot of really nice detail going on here. You know, for somebody who doesn't own an Anguirus figure, I would say this is a pretty good entry-level figure. We have some very, very nice detail starting on the back of Anguirus and then going into the tail. The tail has these very nice cracks and crevasses. Let's take a closer look at that. And you can see they are just littering the top and the side of the tail, including the bottom. Very basic detail for the bottom. As you can see here, Toho Company Limited, Bandai made in China, numbers. And I guess since we're down here, we can look at Anguirus' stomach. Same stuff we got on the tinier figure. Little dots that you can feel. Lots of very nice details. Some nice veins and wrinkles going on the legs here. He's got detail on the bottom of his feet, in between his toes. You're essentially going to get the same thing on both of his feet back here. The pads, the little separation between toe detail, and then when it comes to his arms up here, his hands, you're going to get the same thing as well. I really, really like the wrinkling detail over here. It looks very, very nice. Now, when talking about the upside of his legs, you are going to see a lot of that armoring over here with the spikes poking out. A lot of that really great wrinkling that we saw on the bottom. I just wish these spikes were painted, like the smaller figure had. But, you know, in terms of detail, they are nice. You know, there's gonna come a time where me saying that isn't going to mean much. But the toes back here are painted. They've got some nice detail on them. They are this nice greenish yellow. Got a little bit of a scuff right there. Not too bad though. I really, really love this attention to detail on Anguirus' back, making it look like these are, you know, growing out of his back. That's very, very nice. And then over here, they start looking like, you know, little waffle bits with thorns coming out of them, which isn't a bad thing. It's nice. The thorns aren't painted whatsoever. I think this is just a separate piece of vinyl that they stuck on here. And again, I wasn't expecting anything too astronomical with this figure. This just looks very flat, and you know, it's a Bandai figure, so what are you gonna do? Now, on the front of Anguirus' arms, you're gonna get that same armor plating, the same wrinkling detail, and the very same toe paint that you got on the back legs. That greenish yellowy tint. That looks so cool, but kind of gross. It's like, dude, wash your fucking hands, man. Now let's talk about the head. The head's nice. It's got some nice wrinkly detail on his neck. It has a lot of very strong detail on his head and on his face. Lots of really, really great detail on this guy. Looking very, very fantastic. Very strong brow up here as well. And this shot of looking at him front on, he doesn't look doofy at all. He looks rather fierce. Pork. That being said, I also really, really love the red pupil paint on this figure. Teeny bit messy on one side. Let's get an even closer look. Look at that. Look at those pupils. I think this pupil turned out a lot better than the other one did. But, you know, not bad for Bandai. Speaking of not bad for Bandai, the teeth are painted rather, rather nicely. No big muck-ups from what I can see. The only downside to the head, I'd say, is the slightly messily painted horns on his head. It's honestly not a downside. It's Bandai, but, you know, it would have been nice if it was a little bit neater. It's like you could tell they just went at this with an airbrush because it's so uneven over here. And on this side, it's a little bit more even. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? All right, that was detail and paint. Now, let's talk about articulation. The legs, all four of them, do have the ability to go all all the way around. Nothing new there. Very classic Bandai type stuff. You are going to get articulation in the head, and you are not going to get anything in the tail. It has a glue seal. But as I see in a lot of the comment sections for my Bandai Movie Monster Series reviews, people just heat this up, break the glue seal, and apparently it works just fine. So I guess try that. With that being said, let's take a look at Anguirus' tag over here. And this is quite the picture of Anguiwi. You know, he's looking pretty pissed off. It looks pretty cool. You know, we got, some stuff in here that I really don't know what it means, except Anguirus 2004. And on the back, we got his little spiked turtle shell and Godzilla Final Wars on the back. Anguiwi over here ain't on the tall side, he ain't on the short side, and he ain't on the skimpy side either. He's a beefy boy. And for a quick size comparison before we get into Gigan land, here he is next to the Bandai Movie Monster Series Mothra larva figure and the Bandai Shakugan Anguirus Final Wars minifigure, who has more paint than him, but I'm not going to complain. Anyway, on over to Gigan. And here we have super duper ultra edge factor Shadow the Hedge Gigan listens to 5-finger death punch. This is an exact re-release of the Bandai Japan Final Wars Gigan, just with less paint, but not with less detail, I will say that much. So I guess enough talking, let's just take a look. Thankfully, the Gigantic Plague over here definitely has a lot more to talk about in terms of paint. Yes, he might be lacking more than the original, but he still has some pretty nice paint apps to talk about. So let's start talking. Super zooming racing. So starting at the head and the neck over here, we have that very beautiful metallic blue that was definitely skimped out upon on this figure, but it is very, very present on the head, both the front and the side, including around his vaginal second eye over there. It looks great. It shimmers in the lights. And as you can see, it's on his shoulders, it's on his neck, and it's on his little sails over here, but we'll get to the sails later. Yeah, I just also want to say, look at all this fantastic detail on the head of Gigan over here. Lots of really, really great organic looking parts. A lot of really, really great cybernetic looking parts as well. Truly, truly fantastic. But speaking of fantastic, Gigan over here has some pretty fantastic details all over his arms, his chest, and his waist. Look at that. That is fantastic. Would have looked better with a little bit more blue, Bandai. But I am bitching about nothing. This is just fantastic. What is going on with the light over here? Dear God, you didn't need to be that bright, buddy. But yeah, look at that. That is some fantastic detail. We have cybernetics. We mostly have cybernetics over here. I just love that everywhere you look, there's wiring, there's piping, there's something to see no matter what angle. And, you know, a lot of Bandai figures are like that. I'm just glad Final Wars Gigan really got the spruce, because I've never owned a Bandai Final Wars Gigan figure before. I mean, even look at his pincers here. We got some mighty fine detail over there with his little fucking things that he's got over there that he shoots and stuff. And very nice, very bland, but, you know, it's metal. Very, very, very nice stuff. Yeah, both of these pincers, they're the same size. They have the same amount of detail on both sides. You get it. You know, I didn't even notice he's got a spike on his elbow over here. What the fuck? Moving down to the crotch region, we've got more of that beautiful metallic blue paint that should have definitely had more of a presence on the legs. And that's looking fantastic, very much so. We've got some armoring on Gigan's legs over here, both on his upper thigh. If you turn the leg out a little bit more, you're going to see more of the wiring and the cybernetics on Gigan's legs over here. Very, very nice. We have the silver chrome painted kneecaps of death metal and Cradle of Filth going on up there. And, you know, just more fantastic details on the leg and the shin and the ankle and the foot. Well, not so much the foot, but everything leading up to the pointed toe. Seriously, no matter where you look on this leg, there's detail. And there's lots of it. I just wish it was accentuated upon with a little bit more of that metallic blue. But anyway, you're going to get the same shiz niz biz criz on the other leg as well. Oh wow, there's even detail on the bottom of the foot. Look at that. And copyright and stuff. Oh yeah, second verse, same as the first. Minimal paint, still looks pretty awesome. Moving on to the tail, you're going to get more of that very solid matte look on the top of the tail. You're going to get more wiring and more tubing details on the underside of the tail as well. full rotation right there. From what I saw on the original figure, this was like a very matte silver. This is essentially the same color as the rest of the tail. Not too big of a problem, but I do wish it kept that, silver paint job going on. And leading up to the tip of the tail is also not silver anymore. It is just matte black, and it's got the two horns on the opposite side and everything. Really do think this figure could have been a 100% A+ figure if they had just kept a little bit more of the original paint job on this thing. Unfortunately, you pretty much just have to expect that at this point. But one place I am very glad did not get skimped out on paint is, in fact, Gigan's sails. Sail away! If you notice a bit of a quality up or a quality dip, I apologize. My iPhone currently is just filled up on storage despite deleting everything that I just recorded after I saved it. I don't know. Whatever. So Gigan's sails, they start off with a very faint metallic blue, and then they just become this freaking stream of blood red paint that just looks so very good being coupled with this metallic blue. Now you're going to get more red on every side of these sails, as you can see over here, over here, over here, and over here. If my iPhone decides to not be a total penis breath, I'll definitely get some iPhone footage in between the sails for you lot. Also just wanted to point out all the glorious detail on the veins or the stems or the spikes, whatever you want to call them over here. Very nice. And the detail at the bottom of the sails is really cool too, because it looks like they are literally bolted into Gigan's back, which as you can see has some very nice detail. Yeah, you're gonna get that lovely little organical coo on both sides. Speaking of organics, even though this has absolutely nothing to do with that, here is the new boy's tag, and it's a pretty awesome looking tag. Super Shadow the Hedgehog metal 5-finger death punch Gigan being surrounded by flames. That's pretty cool. And on the inside, Gigan 2004, you're gonna have the sails cut out over here, Godzilla Final Wars. Really great stuff. And before I forget, you're going to get the same red on Gigan's sails for his visor and his forehead vag eye as well. Very bright, very nice, breaks the mold of the head up a little bit, but I unfortunately got a tiny smudgy on mine. Unfortunately, but not a deal breaker. Also, I really like how much more pronounced Gigan's teeth are with this version. Like, look at that. You can totally tell that there's teeth in there. Unlike Showa Gigan, whose teeth were really small. Clearly, Bandai did not use the full page to be creative on this one, but this figure's still good, don't get me wrong. All right, fam, I'm gonna be honest with you. I completely forgot to record articulation for Gigan, so I'm gonna do that right now. Obvious insert right here. They're gonna be able to go all the way around at Gigan's head, kinda all the way around at Gigan's shoulders. I'm pretty sure you could force it. Yeah, you can. I don't recommend it though, because this flap over here, as you can see, will get in the arm's way, and I know they're vinyl figures, but I don't want to mess them up. So yeah, highly recommend stopping at those specific points so you don't mess nothing up. As demonstrated before, you will also be able to move the legs all the way around both sides. Look at that. And much like Anguirus over there, no articulation in the tail either. Glue seal. I also noticed that I really didn't talk about Gigan's buzzsaw on his stomach, and there really isn't much to say. It's gunmetal gray, just like his blades, and it's in the middle of his chest. There you go. Semi-sharp. Done. These Gigan figures are around the same height. I would definitely say Final Wars boy is taller based on sails alone, because, gotta have long spikes and stuff. His head might be a little bit further down, but the sails, bruh, it's all in the sails. Bad joke. So if you've been questing for a Final Wars Gigan and don't want to spend too much money on it, highly suggest picking this dude up. Aside from suffering from a little bit of I wish there was paint here isms, Final Wars Gigan 2019 is a pretty solid figure. In fact, both Final Wars Gigan and Anguirus are both pretty solid figures. Rightfully so, I didn't mean for that to rhyme. Bandai reusing older molds is absolutely not a bad thing. I just wish they would include more paint, especially in areas where they were present on smaller, cheaper figures. But I think we all know the Bandai plight these days. They are much more focused on their Bandai premium stuff than they are their normal Bandai Movie Monster Series stuff. But I guess it's not such a bad thing. We're still getting steady releases throughout the years. So this was my review for Final Wars Anguirus and Final Wars Gigan, the 2019 re-releases from the Bandai Movie Monster Series of reissues. You can get both of these on Hobby Link Japan. That's where I got mine. Yeah, they will be available on Amazon, but you're willing to pay $30 and wait nearly a month for them, or less, then you can get them there at some point. Maybe even right now. I'm not sure. I haven't checked. I still say use HobbyLink Japan. You get them for much cheaper, you get better shipping options, and you won't have to wait too long with them. I am ShinRobjira. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.